Harris household. Welcome, gang. We're getting ready to template and ultimately cast our countertops. We're pre-casting. You'll notice this really cool farm sink. Our friend Mike Eastergaard from Createch built the custom forms for this beautiful farm sink out of foam. And now we're getting ready to do some templating for our countertops. A couple of observations. These are all going to be pre-cast, and that means that we have to template it. So you'll notice that we've made some masonite or Luan templates, and what we'll do is it's really important that you label everything on the front. All of your details need to be on your template, because what happens is we'll take these templates back to our shop, flip the templates over, build our frames around the templates, and then put any details that we need, and then of course cast. But come on over and let's take a look at this. Couple little things here. We just use something as simple as paper. Leanne and I were recently visiting some friends over in Venice, Italy. We went to the island of Murano and we got this gold-plated glass. Really cool. So ultimately we're going to be embedding this glass into the countertop. What we'll do is we'll cut the subbase out and we're going to underlight the glass, so you'll see little shards of light coming out of this really cool glass. So you'll notice how everything is labeled. You'll see number 1, so we know which tile goes where, and so on and so forth. So all of the pertinent information you need for your countertop needs to go onto the template, okay? Also, you'll notice we have a little layout right here, and we're going to just do a little step up, and which means that we need to go ahead and lay out what we're trying to achieve, once again, right on our template. So it is important to label everything so you don't leave anything out. And then our next step, we'll go ahead and show you guys the pouring and the casting of these really cool countertops. Hope you'll stay tuned and watch the next video. Thanks a lot. Okay, we've fabricated our templates, and now it's time to start pouring concrete. Before we did that, we got all of our frames ready. You'll notice this is a little block out here. Under here is the gold-plated gold leaf glass. This is the block out. Remember, these counters get turned over, so this foam will get stripped away, and then we'll come back and underlight this. So you remember when we talked about our templates, here's Ron, he's holding up our template. So this is the actual template for the glass. So we use this template so we could mark the plywood subbase, and now we know that assuming we put these pieces of glass on our forms properly, when we move it back into the final resting spot of the kitchen, ultimately it's going to line up perfectly, and we'll have these little glass tiles underlit. A couple neat little details here. We've got these agates that are just beautiful in color, as you can see. We've got a slope drain board. You'll notice on the forming system that we used the Createch foam, and this is really nice. We're pouring 2 inches thick because of all the little detail that we have on these. Here's our other counters, and you'll notice also that we have them covered with paper. What happens is during the mixing you're going to have a little bit of airborne dust particulate, so we don't want to contaminate our molds, so keep them covered. But look at this monster here. This will become the island top, and you'll notice all of the different elevation changes. We did this with plexiglass, and it's 1/4 inch plexiglass, plus you'll notice also this kind of interesting slope drain board for our vegetable sink here. Once again, Mike Eastergaard from Createch did some foam knockouts for us for some interesting detail. And you'll notice that we're going to have a rock edge on this one to kind of go with the whole theme. What you got to be careful about is we're going to be using self-consolidating concrete, and you got to make sure that you silicone this seam right here. If not, the concrete will just ooze or flow right under this rock edge. So you want to do a nice job of siliconing the seam to prevent the concrete from leaching under. Couple of other things. These are little strips. This is going to strip out, and we'll have little depressed areas roughly 1/4 inch, and then we're going to embed in those areas some stainless steel for trivets for hot plates. So we're going to get busy, and we're going to start pouring all of these countertops, and our next sequence of videos we're going to show you the end result. And we are using Encounter bagged concrete mix. Ron's anxious, he's ready to start going, he's chomping at the bit, so we're going to get ready to rock and roll. See ya. Hey guys, Bob and Leanne here. Welcome to our new show, Concrete and Coffee with the Harrises, or in our case, Concrete and Cocktails. We literally just got home from work, and I'll be honest with you, Leanne wasn't too excited about filming this video, so she's a trooper. We shot some videos on the building of our kitchen renovation, and so we finally thought it'd be a great opportunity to go ahead and share with you our finished kitchen. You know, it's funny, originally Leanne said she wanted to redo the kitchen. Little did I know it meant tearing out a wall and completely redoing the dining room area. So I'm curious, how do you like your new kitchen?
I love my new kitchen.
What's the biggest feature?
It was a great undertaking. We live in a 90-year-old house, and so we wanted to keep some of the added features that was provided by the home. But when Bob asked me, would I like a new kitchen, first thing I said was, of course I do. Do I have input? He said yes. I said, okay, let's start taking out walls and changing a lot of things around. And so it was a great undertaking. 5 layers of walls, 5 layers of floors, but it turned out awesome.
The bottom line is, she's a happy camper, so that's what it's all about. So she's a happy camper. I'll tell you what, why we enjoy a good glass of red wine. We'll show you some of the fine details. So this is our crude version of filming. Welcome into our almost 90-year-old house, and I'm going to walk over and turn the camera off and share some of our fun details with you guys. Alright gang, here we are, going to share some of our details with you. Let's start with the floor. This was a major undertaking. As Leanne mentioned, there was literally 5 layers of old flooring, starting with vinyl tile. Actually, there were 3 or 4 layers of vinyl tile. Kind of a funny story, under the last layer, before we got down to the hardwood floor, we found a 1938 newspaper that was perfectly preserved. An interesting story. But what we did is we got down to the hardwood floors, and in this case what we did is we put down an epoxy and we broadcast sand to refusal to fill the voids of the seams of the wood. And then once the epoxy cured out, we swept off the residual sand, we stapled down or screwed down expanded metal lath, and then we used a mortar over the top of that, a self-leveling repair mortar. And then over the top of that, we went ahead and mapped out our design and came with our finished floor. So it was a lot of work, but we're super pleased over this floor. There's not one hairline crack anywhere. You'll notice we did a seamless texture with a stampable overlay, and then we did what looks like inlaid wood, which is also a stamp overlay. Now on this wood, I was a little concerned because it's so detailed in terms of texture. We literally had pulled this off of a real piece of a wood, and the texture is so deep I was concerned about the chairs perhaps chipping it, but we were going for that realism, so you can see how much detail with the complete knots and everything. So let's take a walk over on this side and see what we have coming over here. With the lighting, you can kind of see how much texture this wood actually has. And as another reference, this was a fun floor that we did about 7 or 8 years ago. You know, our theme seems to be Zeke. There he is, crashed out over there on the star floor. He's a big part of our life if you guys haven't already figured that out. Another interesting feature is this is actually 100-year-old barn wood that we use as a threshold. We tore down an old barn and we incorporated it into our floor here. So that's kind of fun as well. So let's move around this side. So this was an existing wall. It was actually a closet, but this was a wall, and so Leanne came up with the idea of making better space of this. And so what we did is we cut a hole into this wall, and we were able to recess our china cabinet and block off the other side. So it's no longer a cabinet and or a closet, I should say, but rather great space for the wine rack. Let's come over here. This is our kitchen that we were talking about that we're really proud of. Let's get a close-up of this. What we did is we actually underlit all this, so everything is on a remote. So you can see we've embedded a big agate into this concrete panel. We precast these panels at our shop, and actually the whole kitchen was precast at our shop, so we inlaid this huge agate. But the cool thing about this is, I don't know if the camera's going to catch it, but you can see it's like a beautiful blue, purple, and white. And watch what happens, because we also backlit that. So watch the color. It actually turns brown. So it's a really interesting effect when you backlight the agate. So that was kind of fun. We also did our bar top here, and this is all precast at our shop, and we used a lot of the colors that are incorporated into the house. So we used grays or charcoals, natural grays of the concrete, and then we also used a brown. Let's take a look over here, see what we have. Come on over here. Again, we like the idea of using these natural looking agates. And also, Leanne and I recently went to Venice. We talked about this in the previous video where we got, I said gold leaf coated glass. It's actually silver leaf coated glass. And so that's what these are. We've inlaid them into the countertop. You can come on over here and take a close-up look. Now what we're going to attempt to do is we're going to attempt to turn the lights off because we also underlit these, and it's a really cool effect. So I'm going to walk over here, have no idea if it's going to show up on the video, but let's give it a try. So Leanne's going to focus on that silver leaf coated glass. Let's turn some lights out. And now I'm going to turn on the lights. So you can see what happens. Maybe we can get a close-up. And it actually lights up. So it's a really nice effect. And as you pan over to your left, you'll notice that we did it in all of the corners as well. So on the opposite side of the countertop, you notice that we did it over there. So I'm going to turn the lights off. Boom. Hit some over here. And we're back in business. Since she's right here, you'll notice here is our kitchen island. And we've got some very nice details that we've done right there. You can see we've did some trivets when she takes her hot pan. You guys saw that on the past video. I like this layering effect on this huge island top. Over here we've got another agate, and we haven't finished this piece yet. We're still going to cast that, and that's yet to be done. But this is an interesting little effect here. We purposely did it in the reverse, these different elevations. Let me just get a glass of water. So what we did is we actually engraved a little channel. So what happens is the water comes down, it hits this ridge, and then we engraved it, and you'll notice the water running off over here. So that was a really fun little detail, almost like a little aqueduct of water. So it's just kind of an interesting detail, something that we really like. Once again, we like this whole concept of the agates. Also the slope drain boards. This is a nice detail. We did it on both sides, and we did the stainless steel inlays, again cast at our shop, and then what we did is we epoxied the stainless steel in. So it's really great for taking hot pans or dishes that need to set up off of the countertop. We also talked about our friend Mike Eastergaard making the molds for this. We love this farm sink. The neat detail on this farm sink is you can see on one side the water flows to the front, but while the other side the water flows to the back. So it's just kind of an interesting effect, almost like a yin-yang. You'll notice here on our precast backsplashes, we've also incorporated this lazy S curve as if almost to mimic our farm sink. We even went as far as precasting the trim around the windows to match the countertops. And while we're on the subject, let's look at the walls. We did plaster walls. It was 3 layers of a Tuscany plaster to give it a very organic look, and we love the look. And then we took a wax, actually, a chemical buffing wax, and we just rubbed wax into these walls, and it gives it a really silky, smooth finish. Doesn't have any sheen. It's almost a matte finish, and we just love this look. We also cast panels to go around the microwave, as you can see right here. We did our backsplash panels here. We had talked that we wanted them real, almost jagged, like a stone or a piece of rock, so we purposely or intentionally did that where it's not smooth. And then over here, one last thing is we cast some more of the trivets, as you can see here. With the logic being, you can take your hot pan and put it right on top of the trivet here without affecting the concrete. So we hope you've enjoyed our little your tour here in the Harris household, and thanks for watching on bobharrisvideos.com, and stay tuned for a lot more videos. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.